Welcome to the Fit Chicks and Hormones podcast, where I share my insight to help you move through your perimenopause and menopausal years with ease. In this podcast, I talk about natural solutions for balancing your hormones and empowering you to move away from the symptoms like fatigue, mood swings, hot flashes, and resistant weight loss to feeling vibrant, confident, and full of energy as you age gracefully. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fit Chicks and Hormones podcast. I'm your host, Angie Marone, and today I have a fun episode with you. I have a special guest who is joining me, and he happens to be a local here in Longmont, Colorado, and he is the owner of Fire and Ice Wellness, Jim Davis. Welcome, Jim.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. So before we get started, I'm going to tell you that I actually had the opportunity to go and experience Fire and Ice for myself. And I'm so glad I did. I did the infrared sauna and then the ice bath, and it was quite the experience. Something I've never done before. Like, I have sauna, but I've never done the cold bath and wasn't sure how it was going to feel and what was going to happen.
It makes such a big difference. It really
Yeah, I
does.
mean, I felt really good afterwards. I felt, my body felt good because I did a hard workout right before that, so that kind of
Yep.
helped too. And yeah, so I'm really excited to have you here today to talk about, all these modalities they have, all these things, and how they can benefit women when we're going through these hormonal changes and how our body is shifting and how we're just getting older, right? So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all creak just a little bit more getting out of bed every
right, right.
day.
So I want to start with your story, like the reason behind the business, why this business is important to you, because I think it's a really powerful story. If you'd love to share that with us.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago now, my wife Danielle was diagnosed with breast cancer. Everybody was okay. She was caught very early, which is how the system is designed. So everybody make sure to get your annuals. It's
Yep.
very important. But she did have to go through a minimum round of chemotherapy because you don't mess around, you burn it with fire. But when she was going to go through chemotherapy, we rented a hyperbaric chamber for our house. It was a very small one, it's a little claustrophobic tube you crawl into. Um, and the way those worked and the way that it helped Danielle was when it puts you under pressure, kind of like you're in an airplane cabin. And uh, it when you're under pressure like that and you're fed a bunch of extra oxygen, that additional oxygen is easily able to dissolve into your plasma, which then goes to your bones, and your marrow can use that plasma to just start, or that extra oxygen to just start producing stem cells. And so it floods your body with stem cells by going through that process. And so for her, the chemotherapy would come through, wipe out a bunch of weak cells in the body as it's designed to do. And then she had stem cells there waiting to replace them very quickly. And then the side effect was that now her regular blood cells were just carrying extra oxygen around, and so she got a big energy boost out of it. So for somebody going through those treatments, that was about as good of a result as you could hope for. And then I started using it because I might as well. It's in my bedroom, so
Right.
it's I started doing it, and there's a lot of cognitive effects with that, with all the extra oxygen in your brain, and every organ of your whole body wants to slough cells off and replace them with new ones. It's the extra oxygen is really anti-inflammatory. It has this long list of amazing benefits for both people going through something traumatic and people that are just battling making the health battle.
Right.
So that kind of got us started in this whole space of all of these different modalities that are out there that are non-invasive, that can have such an immediate and powerful benefit to your everyday life. Um, and yeah, and eventually we just got to a point where we thought, you know what, we can do this. I was ready to move on from a corporate role and stop being employee 234063, and she was ready to to take on a new challenge. And so we did that. It was it's so we began this whole adventure, and it's
Right.
resulted in Fire and Ice.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it. I mean, and going through, like, you did a tour, you showed me all the things. How because this just came to my mind. I was like, how did you decide which things you wanted to choose to put in there? Like, did you do some
Yeah.
research where you're like finding out what was the best things or?
Well, many of them we had used and had our preferences and wanted to make sure that we included. A few of them we had a space and a requirement and a need, but weren't as sure. A great example of this was our Halo Salt booth, which is a wonderful piece of equipment. But we hadn't had a lot of experience with that
Mhm.
until that point. We just it checked all of the boxes for what we wanted and what we were doing and the space requirement that we had, and we thought this will be a wonderful addition. And I'm excited to see how well it works.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Those decisions were a little scary, but uh, I when we first put that in, that was what I first wanted to do because I didn't have all that a personal testimonial with it. And
Right.
so I started using that every day. And what that does is it spins little microparticles of salt up into the air. You wouldn't really even notice it. It's just like a salty day at the beach. You're just breathing in this little salty air. And that allows the junk in your lungs something to collect to, and you can start coughing it out. And I didn't really notice an immediate impact. And I thought, I don't know if this was a good idea. And then another day went by, and I kind of was coughing some more stuff up. And then after the third day, I was going to bed that night, and I took that great big deep breath that you take, and that I was waiting for that scratchiness that happens at the corner of your lungs to come, and it didn't happen. My lungs just kept going.
Wow.
And so I woke my wife up and I was like, Danny, it worked.
Nice.
This thing actually works. So,
Nice.
but yeah, that was one of the ones that that one was a difficult decision because we didn't have enough
Hmm.
information, but we are glad we did it. The ones we had personally used, like our cryo chamber and cold therapies in general,
Hmm.
and red light therapy, those are pretty well established. Sauna,
Yeah.
nothing's more established than that. So a
Right.
lot of these were easy decisions to make. And the HBOT, the hyperbaric chamber, that's something we just personally believed in. So that was
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, and I like all the different things and
Mhm.
because of that though, so me, I like easy choices, right? But if
Yeah.
somebody walked in or somebody came in and is like, this sounds cool, but where do women or anyone
Yeah.
typically start? Like, because it probably feels a little more safe or they understand it more.
Yeah. Um, it's for us or for me, I usually encourage people to the red light bed.
Hmm.
Or we have a it part of that is because you know what a sauna is.
Hmm.
You have most people have some connection to that, so you don't really need to explain that one a lot. So let's look at the first one that a lot of people have some idea of, but really may not know the finer points of what it does and how it works. And it's comfortable. It looks like a tanning bed.
Yep.
It's in
That's
that
what I
shape.
said.
So yeah, you just pull the lid down and you're in this red light. And so it doesn't require much. It's not intimidating like the cold therapies are. It's
Hmm.
it's a safe space. The way that the red light works is red light stimulates the mitochondria in your cells and encourages them they start producing collagen and ATP, and your body uses that as a type of food, for lack of a better term, for maintaining tissue. With our red light bed, we can actually adjust the frequencies and the intensity of it so that we can target different layers of tissue. So it doesn't. A lot of people associate red light therapy with skin health, which it
Hmm.
does.
Hmm.
And that collagen, your body naturally producing collagen is great for you.
Right.
But athletes are using that same red light, but they're targeting muscle tissue, and so they need deeper penetration. And then you can adjust that and create. We can create custom protocols anywhere in between that. So anything from our metabolism program targets the subdermal fat layer, it kind of browns that fat and
Hmm.
gets your body prepped to burn that tissue off more efficiently, or metabolize that tissue. Or we have one person that's using it for, we have a couple of people actually that are using it for eye health. One specifically is using it for macular degeneration,
Wow.
which I wouldn't have thought was,
No.
thing when we first got into this, but to know that like there's a lot of ways that it's all functioning on the same mechanism. You're just kind of putting it in different spots, making that action happen in specific places. And yeah, that's what's so
That's
rewarding about doing this is it has so many effects that you would have never thought of.
right, right. And I suppose people come in specifically for something, right? And
Yeah,
then from there you can be like, well, that, you know what, this might work too, or this, or so how do you,
right.
do you kind of have like packages or like suggestions if somebody comes in and like, this is what I have going on. Do I need to use
Mhm.
this one or a combination of them? And like, how does that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, we always, the first thing we do is sit down with people in a consultation and
I love
hear
that.
what it is that they're looking for,
Right.
what they need help with. Because yeah, like you said, we have a lot of different modalities there. We tried to pack as much into that little space as we can to
Yeah.
give everybody as much of a sampling of this, these different biohacker modes as we could. Um, what we find a lot of times is like you said, people, it's better to start with something that you feel safe with.
Mhm.
Um, Especially middle of the workday, we have a lot of people that pair that red light bed with our cryo chamber.
Mm.
So because that's the cryo chamber, any cold therapy is profoundly anti-inflammatory. That is
Mhm.
primarily what it's there for, is to get rid of inflammation quickly. But the combination of those two, it's 20 minutes in the red light bed, it's 3 minutes in the cryo chamber. You feel amazing. You head back to work and finish your workday out. So we got a lot of lunchtime
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
people coming by, leaving the cubicle, come by,
that's cool.
better.
I would have never thought of that, but I mean,
Yeah.
perfect, like in perfect
So
time.
that's kind of how people branch out, and then a lot of times they'll save the fire and ice room, which is our signature room. That's our sauna cold plunge that you
Mhm.
got to experience. Let's save that for more of a weekend treatment.
Mhm.
Something it's a little more spa like.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you need a shower afterwards.
right, yeah,
That you don't need that with the red light and cryo. So,
right.
but yeah, and as people are there more and learn more, they'll play around with some of the other modalities and find what it is that's helping them. If they need more respiratory health, or if they're have a lung cold or something like that, they may want to use we'll encourage them to use the salt therapy more. For people actually battling like a physical injury, we'll encourage them to use the hyperbaric chamber, because those, when your body's filled with stem cells, your
Mhm.
body knows to take it to the injured area, right?
Right,
So
right.
you can cut healing time in half. So we have some of our clients that are using that for pre and post op surgery. So they're getting ready for an upcoming surgery, and they'll ramp that up, and then do the surgery and come back in and
Wow.
put that in the regular rotation until they have kind of fully recovered. So yeah, so we try to walk everybody through and try
Mhm.
to be as receptive as we can to what their needs are, and give the best suggestions we can.
Right. I love that. That personal touch I think is so important, especially for
Mhm.
people coming in and they're just confused. Like for me, big
Right,
decisions are that's hard. Like if somebody can help me and kind of guide me and ask me some questions to kind of find
right.
things, I think that, that's obviously what I do too on my end of the thing is
Yeah,
I'm not just gonna give everybody the same answer. It's like, well, what's going on? What do we need to,
yeah.
what do you want to fix or
I
what's
think
happening?
you're a great example that that you can't just have a room full of gym equipment and say go get them.
Right.
Right, you gotta have somebody there that's going to be a little bit of a coach that's going to say, okay, in this situation, I'll bet you would really like this.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah. Find it, like individualize it and everything. And I think
mhm,
that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
So I want to, because you did mention inflammation a couple times, like, and at
Mhm.
one point you said inflam-aging, right? And I never heard
Yeah,
that term. I thought that was pretty cool. But
yeah.
a lot of people that they think of inflammation as like, oh, I burned my arm and I have inflammation, right? They
Oh
don't
yeah.
understand exactly what that is. So do you want to talk a little bit more about that and kind of
Yeah.
what that looks like for people that are coming in and what they're doing for it?
Right. Yeah. So many of our modalities target inflammation in one way, shape, or form, but it's It's really caused from oxidative stress, and that oxidative stress creates mitochondrial dysfunction, which is this, downward self-perpetuating cycle. Um, and as you may not notice it day on day, month on month, year on year, even, but you notice it decade on decade. You
Mhm.
know that, like, I'm 51 now. When I was 41, I felt a lot different every morning
Right.
getting out of bed.
Yep.
and when I was 31, I felt a lot better.
Yeah.
And 21, forget about
Right.
it.
I can sleep on the floor and get up
Yeah,
and be fine. Yeah.
exactly. Um, but yeah, as that's just so our bodies will, kind of compound these inflammatory, uh, you know, so that things like sentient cells, which are also called zombie cells. It's an
Hmm.
easier word to say anyway.
Hmm.
And
Makes
it's
more sense
yeah,
too.
your
Yeah.
body's supposed to, all your cells are supposed to die off and metabolize back in, go to your lymphatic system, and so your body can get rid of it. And when you have increased inflammation, your vascular system starts to stiffen, right? It's
Hmm.
just not as pliable as it used to be. That means it doesn't open all the way up the way it used to. That means that it doesn't get those zombie cells out into your lymphatic system the way it used to. And so they stay just out of reach and just start compounding. And like I said, that's over time that starts to really add up into a lot of inflammation. Um, so what especially cold therapies are good at, but like the combination between red light and cold therapy. Cold therapies, that's pretty clear. It's you get in the cold, your body says, "Oh no, we're in trouble.
Hmm.
It's time to get that blood to the core." So it gets the blood to the core by slamming shut your capillaries and blood vessels. And then takes your body a few seconds, 30 to 45 seconds to figure out, better get this warm fluid back out there. I wasn't in as much trouble as I thought. So then they open wide back up. That opening and closing is something your circulatory system, it gets worse at year on year, decade on decade. And so it's really good for you. And when it's wide open like that, it's able to get rid of some of that junk. Um, the paired with the red light is also anti-inflammatory, but it's measured in more like weeks to months. It's not, so it's like there's the short-term anti-inflammation and the middle to long-term anti-inflammation. So paired together, they're a really a great benefit. Then we have the wet version, which is our sauna to cold plunge, which is doing an extreme version of that. You get in the sauna, your body gets really hot, your all of your blood vessels open wide as they can to keep to just to cool you off. And then you slam it shut with the cold. And then you get back in and you warm back up again and you slam it shut again. And you get that, 2, 3 times, and it's an extreme version of that same process. And yeah, getting that inflammation out. And then inflammation causes that vascular stiffness. So once you've gotten rid of some of it, it's compounding in a positive way, that now your vascular system is actually more open and more pliable and can actually do better about getting rid of some of that extra inflammation on its own. But it's kind of a training for your body
Hmm.
to react like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back that I try to, I don't have these things in my house. So
Yeah.
I try as much as I can do hot, hot shower, cold, hot, cold, try to
Mhm.
do that at least every day,
Yeah,
maybe, but it's just a little bit to kind of simulate the same thing as much as I can, right? Because
exactly.
if I can do
Yeah.
it when I can, I'm going to try
it's
something.
it's yeah, and that's absolutely effective too. Like, you
Yeah.
know we're doing an extreme version of that
Yep.
same thing, but it's,
Right.
yeah, it
And
helps.
right. One thing on too, talking about inflammation is I feel like too, the more, and this is something maybe people don't understand, is the more inflammation you have in your body, the harder it is on your health, like overall health. Like it's going to
Yes.
cause all these diseases and all this stuff. The more that your body is carrying this inflammation around constantly, and you
Mhm.
may not know that it's there, right? You don't. feel it all the time.
Yeah.
But if it's constantly going on, it's definitely going to be detrimental to your health as you age, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's all kinds of systemic effects to it, and it's always compounding, right? It's like one problem getting another and another and another, which comes back to making the first problem worse, and then this downward cycle. So
Right.
yeah, what we're trying to do is find ways into an upward cycle.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. I also, as you were talking about the salt room,
Yeah,
because I have a lot of clients in my boot camp and myself too, like this year, this weather here has had a lot of like coughing and a lot of sinus stuff and a lot of chest and all this and allergy stuff. And I'm like, that just sounds like it would be amazing to just,
fire season is another one we get a lot here in
yeah.
Colorado.
Yep.
Yeah, fire season, allergy season, people that have
Which fingers crossed
asthma.
we won't have fire season.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
Let's not.
Especially this year, we're
It's not looking great, but yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but I was thinking, like, a lot about that, if that would be a good thing for, people to do because then in turn, then they can get better workouts. So if they're struggling through the workouts because they can't breathe or they're coughing or they feel all this tightness on their chest, something like that to just, again,
yeah.
loosen
Well,
things.
in like the each little incremental step in a positive direction creates other side effects. When you feel physically better, when you sleep better, when you have a better night's sleep,
Mhm.
then the next day you have more energy and you are more active and you have a bunch of little micro movements that you wouldn't have normally had. And so you wouldn't even notice it, but then suddenly you've burned more calories. You've done, by just being more active. And so it's this compounding set of results that you get from just you know taking these small
Right.
wellness steps,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
even something as simple as sleep.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I tell people. It's like, you don't have to do all the things.
Yep,
Just in something or one or two things that are going to benefit your body and your overall life, that you
yep,
can do, that you can stick to, that you can stay consistent doing, right?
exactly. Yeah, the more consistency the better. That's sustainability is really the goal. It's not just something that you go and do once and then say, okay, well, glad that was over. No,
Right.
it's
Right.
something you have to stick with and stay. It keeps you mentally in the process of trying to focus on your health, and it keeps you physically getting just a little bit better every day. And that's
Yeah.
all it needs. You don't need to go from point A to point B. You just need to get a little bit better every day.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure like same like with me, people can work out. You can't come work out
Mhm.
one day and expect to be healthy and strong and have all the
Yep,
muscle you want. It's like
exactly.
it's not gonna work. It has to be consistent. You have to do it all the time. Yeah. Yeah. Are there any stories like people coming in and trying something and for one thing and just like coming out and being like, I can't believe that this happened or how this helped this?
Yeah.
Something you're like, oh, that's a pretty cool story I want to share.
Yeah, we have there's been several. One of them happened recently, and I'll send you the picture for the show notes, but we had our our one client had uh, oh darn it, what's it called? Um, she had a inflammation on her skin, so she was uh, and that like she was going to have to start taking a series of shots from the doctor to clear it up, and it turned out like she just added in red light, and her body was able to. She was like, before I start taking shots, um, I really wanted to give this a try to get rid of these rashes. And that way I don't have to take these round of shots. But if I do come February, I'm going to do it. And so we did. And so she hit it hard through the month of January, and it had all cleared up in
Wow.
by February. Another one was James, he's on the U.S. ski team. He wasn't able to compete this year. His shoulder is a mess, but he started coming in, and he would always do red light cryotherapy um, for his shoulder, and he would always use the anti-inflammation protocol that we have. And it took him about 3.5 months. He was doing that 3 times a week, that combination, and then he got to a point. in November, he got to a point where he was able to tell his doctor, I don't think I need that cortisol shot this month.
Oh, wow.
And you're not taking a cortisol shot because you're bored. You're
Right.
not doing it because it's Wednesday. You're
Right.
doing it
Right.
because you have a very serious pain. And
Yeah.
and so to help somebody get rid of that much pain through something that's completely non-invasive, and yeah, that means so much and it's so helpful.
Yeah.
But,
That's something that I'm sorry to interrupt,
no,
but
no, no. Go
I
for it.
have clients that, they have that because,
Mhm.
hormones are changing, bodies are changing. They're like, oh, my
Yep.
shoulder's bothering me. My doctor wants me to get a cortisone shot. I'm like, let's kind of work on some mobility stuff. Let's not, like,
Yeah.
we don't want to go there first off. Let's figure out some other things. So again, to hear these
Right.
stories from you is gives me also like, oh, I know what something you could try first instead if you don't
Yes.
want to. Because the thing with the shots too, as I found, is they only last for so long, or some people they don't even work, and then it's
And
like,
they don't fix anything. They're
right,
just they're just it doesn't hurt, but it's
yeah,
not actually fixing the underlying problem or relieving the underlying. You
right,
most pains, most pain in your body comes from two sources. It's either mechanical or it's inflammation.
hmm
That's
right,
something's
or both,
inflamed or something's broken.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
it's not broken, let's see if we can't reduce the inflammation and then go to, something, the yeah, before you start taking that step. The other ones that like really surprise me are, and for me, a part of like I love the science of this. I dork out on how these things work and why and the mechanisms of how they function. Um, but because of that, I always underestimate that there are very real mood and mental effects of these, and it's hard to quantify that. And I think that's why I usually don't upsell people on like the dopamine effect that you really get from cold therapies. Like it's a thing, it really
mm-hmm.
is. But I think a lot of people are surprised by. I don't just feel physically better. It's not just that inflammation went away emotionally. Like I've had this jolt. Like I had this energy jolt. And our cryo chamber is great for like that 3 o'clock slump that you have where it's too late for a cup of coffee, but
Right.
you're still dragging at the end of the workday. It's fantastic for that. And um and yeah, there's like better sleep functions and better all these neurological effects that you can have from some of these. And how they work is interesting, but like it's hard to, because your brain is such a complex mishmash. It's sometimes hard for me to quantify. So I think a lot of people are surprised when they find out, oh yeah, like that's like this really does change more than just your physical body. It changes your life and your outlook and your energy levels. And so I think a lot of people are surprised by some of that.
That's amazing. I love that
Yeah.
part because I mean, yeah, we all go in for something, but if we can get something else out of it too on top of
Yeah.
that and feel better
Yeah.
overall, and I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and I have a hard time. Like there was that part of me that I'm like, I don't want to promise something like with mood. Like
right.
that sounds so
Yeah.
so sketchy to say that, but it works. But it
Mm,
does do that. And
yeah.
so I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my own little. I usually try to stick to the science.
But hey, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of
Yeah,
women who are in their menopausal years and be like, if I can have better energy and have better
yeah,
moods, give it to me, right?
exactly, exactly. Yeah, so um, one of the other mental effects that these can have, and I'll go back to the red light, which is it's this is what I've been really interested in lately. There's a really great TED talk I was listening to about using 40 hertz flashing light and 40 hertz sound therapy. And in the research I was looking at, they were using it for Alzheimer's patients, but it also affects. So the 40 hertz therapies, the gamma waves of your brainwave pattern actually fluctuate at exactly 40 hertz. And they can get out of rhythm. And in, people with dementia and people with Alzheimer's, it gets way out of rhythm. But by stimulating your eyes with a flashing light and using 40 hertz sound therapy, both of them, it's kind of like a conductor putting everything back on rhythm. And that when you do that, it will affect your sleep. It will affect your mood. It will affect, all these different things. That's another one of those things. I never thought any of this equipment would actually do any of
Right.
that. And I always thought that any claims about that sounded a little bit like woo to me, but it's not. It actually does work. And yeah, that's always an interesting line of therapy as well that we do.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
great. Again, if you can fix all the things,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the better, right?
It's amazing. Yeah. Like the more
Sure.
you get into it, the more you're like, oh wow, this does a lot of different things that I hadn't thought of.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Question I know some people would want to ask because I
Mhm.
know this was something I was curious about. I went to the website, but we'll just
Yeah.
ask here, like, if, well, how does it work? Like, can you come in and be like, I just want to do this thing, or I want to package these together, or like, I want to just come and use all the things. Like, what are those things look like, or how can people do that?
Yeah. So this is especially because we're not a franchise. We are mom and pop. We try to
Mhm.
make things as easy as we can for everybody.
Right.
So you can do it all of the different ways. So you can come in and just do one-off retail. You can do, we usually say if if somebody's not sure how often they can put this into their regular rhythm, or if they even want to,
Hmm.
we have credit packs, which are, punch passes. We just
Nice.
kind of think of it in terms of, you know passes. So you
Hmm.
get,
Okay.
4, or you get 8, or you get 12, or whatever,
Right.
and that'll let you do, each of the things.
Nice.
And that way we don't have to, like, overcomplicate things with, well, this is at this point, this is at that point.
Yeah.
We just try to keep it as simple as we can. And we really just want people to come in and try them and realize what this does. And it happened to me last week where she's like, I just don't know if I could get here on a regular basis to do like a monthly membership. So I'm just gonna get this pack. So she did. The next day, she called me and she's like, "Yeah, I used that first credit. I'm just gonna get the membership
Nice.
now."
You'd already decided.
She came in the one time. She's like, "I get it. I
Yeah.
get it now." So yeah, that's we try to make these things as seamless as we can for our users. Um,
I love that because I think that's great. Because again, that's kind of what we do is we want to give everybody a little opportunity to try all the things, see what they
yeah,
like, see what they want to do, and then
right.
okay, pick what works for you, or just continue to do all the
Right, because
things.
it's so individualized. It's
Hmm.
so, so you got to be as flexible as you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, we do have our special that gives everybody a chance to try a little bit of everything, or at least some of the big points.
Right.
So we have our rejuvenation package out there, and that's our sauna for a 50-minute session, or 20-minute session of our red light, and then a 30-minute mini facial from our amazing estheticians. So
Oh, nice.
we
Sounds
have,
amazing.
yeah. So yeah, it's like a nice little sampler package, and you feel amazing, and
Mhm.
yeah. So,
Awesome. I love that. Great. Okay. This has been awesome. Because I
hey,
already knew some of this stuff, but even talking more about it just even makes me want to go and try some more of those things out and experience them. Again, getting
yeah.
older, I know I want to feel better. I want to
Oh,
keep
I
feeling
know.
better.
It's little things you do. You know, I was joking this year with our boys. We have 2 sons, and they're both born in July, and so we, instead of doing a cake, we had a combined birthday, and we just had a big pile of donuts. That was their birthday for all the kids, and of course I got into those donuts.
Yeah,
I'm me. I've lived with me for 51 years now. I know what
donuts
I'm
are
going
good.
to do. So I got into the donuts, and every time I do something like that, the inflammation always comes first in my right knee. It's always in my
Mhm.
janky
Yep.
knee, which feels great most of the time. But when I go crazy and eat a bunch of terrible food for me,
Yep.
I get super inflamed, and it always shows up first in that janky knee. And I told my wife, yeah, I'm now at the age where I literally eat a donut and it blows out my knee.
Yep.
That's where I'm at now.
Yep. Yep.
And that's why we do what we do.
Yes,
And
I was gonna say you have access to all the things.
I now need my own recovery services to
Yes.
recover from
Yeah.
my donut attack.
I love it. And I'm sure there's many people that can relate
Yeah.
to exactly what you said. I know I do. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like that's part of what we're not, yes, we are helping to recover from physical, workouts and stress, but we're also recovering from our bad day with the donuts.
mhm.
Like we're all
Yep.
just recovering.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to share with my listeners before we finish up here?
That's the one thing that we really prided ourselves on. And we had been to similar spas in the past, and my wife always wanted to just meet up with my sister-in-law there and have coffee or tea and do therapy and feel better. And they wouldn't always allow that, or they would always upcharge, or they would. What we really believed in was the social element
Hmm.
of wellness as well. And we wanted to be a place where people can come meet up with friends. We wanted to be a third space. It was the old Starbucks belief of it, but be a third space where people can come and instead of drinking a bunch of booze or eating a bunch
Yeah.
of donuts and sugary coffee,
Right.
instead of doing that, like let's go someplace, meet up, and feel better when we're done. Would
Hmm.
that be so wrong?
Yeah. No, I
That
think
we
that's
feel
awesome.
better after it's over. So in every way it made sense. We have our services where they accommodate multiple people. So we
Yeah.
do our two people at our compression chairs up front. Our salt therapy booth can accommodate three people. Our hyperbaric chamber is a two-person hyperbaric chamber. Our sauna holds five people. We'll have parties there. We've had book clubs there, which was
Wow.
always
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, we have birthday parties, date nights. So wherever it made sense, we tried to make this about, having a social element involved as well in your wellness. And I really just kind of believe it in us being Longmont's wellness living room. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's
I love
really what part
that.
of our dream.
I love that. I think that's perfect because I'm all about the community. I'm all about the community part. So
Yeah, that's
that's
yeah,
good.
that's the more you build that community, the more, it just becomes a special place and we all get better together.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's perfect way to end. That's the perfect way to end this. I will share the website. And anything else you want to share with me in the show notes of the podcast. And then, yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. And
It's been
yeah,
wonderful seeing you again.
yes, you too. And it was so good trying out what I did, and I can't wait to get back there and try out more.
All right, we'll see
That's
you
awesome.
soon.
All right, thank you so much. I hope this episode today resonated with you, and if it did, I would love for you to share it on your stories and tag me on Instagram or Facebook. A review would be appreciated too. Your reviews and shares not only help us to grow, but they give other women who are struggling through their menopausal years hope that they don't have to continue living the way that they do. Your questions and experiences are also so helpful in giving me subjects to talk about. So feel free to reach out to me anytime on Facebook or Instagram with anything. I would love to help.